Parents of bullies, when did you realize your child was a bully and how did you react? In preschool my daughter began to show signs of being a mean girl. She would talk about refusing to play with someone because she didn't like their clothes and convince her friends not to play with other kids. I watched the edited for TV version of Mean Girls with her and we stopped and talked about how the kids treated each other and how they might be feeling. She started being nicer all around. What really spoke to her was being the victim of a mean girl situation in first grade. Now in middle school she is quick to identify mean girls and bullies. Doesn't let herself become their victims and befriends kids who are victims and helps them connect with other nice kids. A year after I graduated high school. The meanest, most popular girl in school mother called my mom and said, "I'm sorry if my daughter ever upset or hurt your daughter." Apparently she called a bunch of girls' moms from my grade to apologize for her daughter's behavior. Was told my kid was a bully in 4th grade. Okay. I had seen signs of him being bossy to his sisters, so we had numerous talks. I watched him like a hawk. Jumped on him if he even so much as gave a sideways glance at his sisters. Later on, the kid he supposedly bullied came to a small gathering at our house. What a little shitty that kid was. Took our digital camera off my husband's desk when they were expensive items and broke the battery compartment hinge because he threw the stupid camera because it wasn't Polaroid. I had a hard time keeping my husband from bullying this little shitty. Later still. Talking to other parents. My son was not the only unfairly accused. The little shitty was tiny for his age. Had red hair and freckles and long eyelashes and a sweet smile. And at first glance was angelic. My son was cool with our temporary mistrust. Because it came out he was not the only one. I always wonder what became of the little shitty. The first week of first grade the teacher told us he was starting to have bully-like behavior. We've struggled with counteracting it since and he's 13 now, but he also is autistic with a learning delay and has a lot of issues either being super focused on something, usually the wrong thing, or nothing at all. It is always someone else. Someone else started it. Or she was looking at me the wrong way. He will always have just one person he hates like a mortal enemy. You try to defuse the situation by telling him to tell the teachers when something happens so they can be aware of the situation. But it seems to be two-sided. Always. Since starting high school this year. 2 terms. And we've been suspended twice. In primary school. He hit a kid in the face because she didn't blink. He thought she was a doll apparently. Honestly. As parents. We're doing our best. He is a very difficult child at the best of times and has only recently started medication for ADHD which has helped his behavior significantly. But we still have to deal with the lesser understanding of consequences. I remember this one kid who kept trying to pick fights with everyone had parents that was in charge of a local church. Parents got upset and tried to start a legal battle when I defended myself on the playground. I was suspended and my punishment was the new Spider-Man movie. It's pizza time. When I had to change my work schedule to pick my kids up from school because my 2nd grader was verbally antagonizing a 7/8th grader on the walk home. It started with her complaining she was being bullied till her older brother told on her that she was instigating. Long story short. It was her way of trying to get more attention from me because she didn't have the words to explain what she wanted. It happened years ago a bit after I went from being a stay-at-home mom to a single working mom. I've made more effort to spend more time with them. Not a parent. But I'm the eldest cousin and one of the younger lads had a bit of a bully phase when I was in my early teens. I was used to him picking on his little brother. But he started extending it to other lads, extended family and friends. He was tall for his age so he abused that. But I was bigger back then, I'm now a puny 5'9" to those 6+ monstrosities. So I put him in a headlock and asked how it felt. He started crying. He cut his tea after that. At least around me. He still picks on his brother as an adult. But if anyone else tries he unleashes holy wrath. Hopefully I wasn't a bully. I didn't pick on people but if people picked on me I was like right. Not me. But when I was growing up we had a neighbor kid who was like 6 years older than me. Always teasing and making fun of me. Until one day. When I was already in a shitty mood, I was like 6. It happened a lot. I put on my gloves, it was cold outside. Don't judge me, then jumped the fence and punched him square in the mouth. Knocked one of his teeth out. And gave him a busted lip. Went bawling inside. His mum came over an hour or so later and was basically like, "Yo, I always knew he was a little shitty. He deserved it." Then left. He never spoke to me again. Though. As far as I know he's married now with his own kids. Edit. I'd have never guessed that my highest rated comment would be about how I punched some kid in the mouth and sent him home to his mum. My niece has been going through the mean toddler phase for about 2 years whereby she actively seeks out younger smaller children, chiefly her cousin my daughter, and physically dominates them. She is possessive over anything and everything and generally makes other kids' lives hell. L is absolutely useless at disciplining her whereas her dad is too much so she gets very mixed signals in what's right and what's wrong. My solution has been that when she is a bully towards my kids or others that I am around I will watch her like a hawk and once she has had her first strike there are no more chances. I isolate my kids from her and have them play nicely and put her on a sort of forced playtime timeout where she isn't allowed to play with us and then tell her it is because she was mean to another child. Victim of one when I was young and heard what the parent did. I left school one day and the bully and his friends caught up with me. Beat me up and threw me in the mud. Then ran off with my cap. I cried on my way home. But before I got home, the father of one of the bullies caught up with me, gripping me strongly and held me hard against a stone wall, saying that I had stolen the bully's cap. The father was very angry and wouldn't relent. While I just cried more. He went through my bag and didn't find anything. Then angrily shouted at me for throwing it away. It was clear that he wanted to drag me along to search for it but I just gave up and went limp. Didn't move at all and he just left me there by the road to cry. Later that day, my father went to talk to the bully's father. I don't know what specifics they talked about. But my father said that the bully's father just told the bully not to do it again. And that was it. Some parents can be assholes, even mine. This is one of my biggest fears as a parent. Because for a long time my son was getting in trouble for hitting other kids randomly. This was in kindergarten. He's going into 2nd grade now. Legit randomly. We had proof and everything. Like once he was putting his snow boots on and a kid was walking by. And my son, straight face and everything, stood up and just cold clocked this poor kid before calmly sitting back down and finishing getting his boots on. I started telling him if he was going to treat others that way, that's how he should be treated. Because we follow the golden rule in our house. He didn't like that idea. And his behavior started to improve. For clarity, we didn't actually do anything to him. Just told him we would if he kept it up. And that he wouldn't have any friends because nobody wants to be friends with a bully. He still acts out sometimes. But it's gotten a lot better with talking about why something he did was wrong and how it makes others feel. And asking him how he would feel if someone did those things to him. When I heard of my son scaring another child at the bus stop I marched him over to the child's house. Lectured him how this was the wrong thing to do along the way. Made him apologize to the other child and the parent. Told him in front of them this was unacceptable and I would not tolerate it. Kid in my primary school was a righteous bitch. When her mom found out you could hear the screaming and yelling if you were living in the housing estate we lived in. I was just there minding my business when I heard what the fuck and the mom going off at the girl. Not a parent but I'm the oldest cousin and I take care of my cousins. One of them I'll refer to her as M is a bully and she's 11. When I was younger she would constantly pick on me and treat me badly. And now I see her doing this to the other girls at family get together. She would be in a group with another cousin and they would just be awful. Last time I went to a family gathering she broke down one of my cousins to a breakdown because they were isolating her and picking on her. I had to console her while she broke down saying how M would tell her she should not come to her house anymore. and how Em wishes that her and her family would just go away. She had told her mother about Em actions, but they can't tell my aunt because she's afraid she won't be believed. I honestly hope Em grows out of being a little shitty. When my sons told me about the zero tolerance policy at school, I gave them permission to defend themselves. They protested, saying there will be a 3-day suspension for any offense or defense. My response was that if you are truly defending yourself, I will make sure those are the happiest 3 days of your life. As a result, they were never bullied. Bullies just seem to know who won't defend themselves. I do not understand zero tolerance policy. Someone punches you and you get punished? What is that meant to teach anyone? At home, my son always went on about how much cooler he was than everybody else. And I started to worry it would influence his behavior at school. So I told him to think differently. Soon after, we got a call from the school about him disparaging other kids. Needless to say, he faced some harsh discipline, no fortnight for 8 weeks, and was taught about empathy and other viewpoints. 4 weeks into his punishment, we were told at parent-teacher interviews that not only was he being nicer to other kids, but was also more positive in general. I'm very happy. I was a bully when I was little, but I was always really good at masking that. I was a really manipulative little kid. I'm glad I'm not as much of a CNT anymore, and I'm not a little sociopath anymore. Not a parent, but I was the one to tell a parent that her son is a bully. I work at a summer camp and she pulled me aside at pickup one day to tell me that her poor son was getting bullied. I asked if her son had named any names, and he names the sweetest little kid who was approximately half his size. I kept an eye out for it the next week or so and witnessed the bully get picked on by the kid accusing him of bullying. Eventually the bully would push him back or call him a name, and frankly I couldn't blame him. I explained to the mother that her son was really only the victim of retaliation. She didn't seem to care. Meanwhile, he was throwing markers and climbing a stair railing. The bully in my school was genuinely resistant. Turned out his dad was worse. His dad was shouting racist slurs at me for no reason as I was going home. I was being bullied and my mom and dad said if they are doing something to you and you tell them stop more than 3 times, beat their $, so that's what I did.